I found my sister's real birth certificate. We're not actually related. The document was tucked inside Mom's old recipe box, wedged between her handwritten notes for Christmas cookies and a faded newspaper clipping of my high school graduation. I was only looking for her famous apple pie recipe to surprise Emma on her 25th birthday when my fingers brushed against the official envelope from the Connecticut Department of Health. Emma Rodriguez, born July 15th, 1999. Parents, Maria Elena Rodriguez and Carlos Miguel Rodriguez. I stared at the birth certificate for a full minute before the implications sank in. My sister, the girl who'd shared my childhood, my parents, my last name for 25 years, wasn't Emma Morrison at all. She was Emma Rodriguez. And according to this document, she'd been born to completely different people in Hartford, Connecticut, 3 months before my parents adopted her from what they'd always claimed was a teenage mother in our hometown. The adoption story had always been simple. Mom and dad couldn't have more children after me. A teenage girl needed a family for her baby, and everyone involved wanted privacy. Emma had known she was adopted since she was old enough to understand, but she'd never seemed interested in finding her birth parents. Why would I need to? She'd always said. I already have a family. But this birth certificate told a different story entirely. The parents listed weren't teenagers. Maria was 28, Carlos was 31. There was an address in Hartford, a hospital name I didn't recognize, and most disturbing of all, a note stamped in red ink. Child removed from home, protective services. Emma hadn't been willingly placed for adoption. She'd been taken. I sat in Mom's kitchen, the same kitchen where Emma and I had eaten countless bowls of cereal before school, and tried to process what this meant. My parents, the people I'd trusted completely, who'd raised us with love and integrity, had apparently lied about the most fundamental aspect of my sister's identity. The rational part of my brain insisted there had to be an explanation. Maybe the birth certificate was fake, planted for some inexplicable reason. Maybe there were two Emma Rodriguezes born on the same day. Maybe this was all an elaborate misunderstanding. But the irrational part, the part that had always noticed small inconsistencies in the adoption story, recognized the truth immediately. This explained why Emma's adoption paperwork had supposedly been lost in a fire at the agency. Why my parents deflected questions about her birth parents with vague reassurances about wanting privacy. Why we'd never been able to find any record of the teenage mother they claimed had chosen our family. I photographed the birth certificate with shaking hands and started researching. Within an hour, I'd found Maria Elena Rodriguez's current address in Hartford, her Facebook profile, and a series of heartbreaking posts about a daughter who'd been stolen from her family 25 years ago. Emma would be 25 today, read a post from 3 months earlier. Not a day goes by that I don't wonder where you are. If you're safe, if you know how much I love you. Happy birthday, Mija, wherever you are. The posts went back years. Birthday messages to a daughter who couldn't see them. Christmas wishes sent into the void. Mother's Day reflections on a child who'd been taken away. Maria had never stopped looking for Emma, never stopped hoping for reunion. I closed my laptop feeling sick. My sister had a mother who'd been searching for her for 25 years, while Emma had grown up believing that mother had willingly. I need to ask you about Emma's adoption. His hand stilled on the carburetor. What about it? I pulled out my phone and showed him the photograph of the birth certificate. His face went through several emotions: surprise, recognition, fear, and finally resignation. Where did you find this? Mom's recipe box. Dad, what really happened? Who are Maria and Carlos Rodriguez? He set down his wrench and leaned against the workbench, suddenly looking every one of his 68 years. Sit down, son. This is complicated. What he told me over the next hour redefined everything I thought I knew about my family. In 1999, Dad had been working as a social worker specializing in child protective services. Emma's case had been one of his most challenging. A 2-year-old girl removed from a home where her parents were struggling with addiction and mental health issues. Multiple interventions had failed, and the state was moving toward permanent removal of parental rights. Maria and Carlos weren't bad people, Dad said carefully. They were sick people. Carlos had untreated bipolar disorder and a cocaine addiction. Maria was clinically depressed and couldn't care for herself, let alone a toddler. Emma was malnourished, developmentally delayed, and showed signs of neglect. But the birth certificate shows that she was born to parents who couldn't take care of her. The state tried everything: rehab programs, family counseling, supervised visitation. Nothing worked. After 18 months in foster care, Emma was legally free for adoption. So why lie about it? Why create this story about a teenage mother? Dad was quiet for a long time. Because your mother fell in love with Emma the first time she saw her. We'd been trying to have another child for years, and here was this beautiful little girl who needed a family. But Emma was traumatized, David. She'd been through hell in her first 2 years. We thought we thought it would be easier for her to grow up believing she was chosen by a young woman who couldn't care for her, rather than knowing she was taken from parents who'd failed her. What about Maria and Carlos? Did they consent to the adoption? Their parental rights were terminated by the court. They'd had multiple chances to get clean, to create a safe environment for Emma. They couldn't do it. He paused. But David, that doesn't mean they didn't love her. Sometimes loving someone means recognizing that you can't give them what they need. I thought about Maria's Facebook posts, the desperate longing in her birthday messages to a daughter she'd lost. She's been looking for Emma all these years. I know, Dad said quietly. I've been monitoring the situation. Maria got clean about 10 years ago, remarried, had another daughter. She's been trying to find Emma through legal channels, but the adoption records were sealed to protect Emma's privacy. From what? From parents who might disrupt her life after she'd finally found stability. David, you have to understand, when Emma came to us, she was barely verbal, afraid of loud noises, couldn't sleep alone. It took years of therapy, patience, and love to help her become the confident woman she is today. I understood his point, but I couldn't shake the image of Maria Rodriguez writing birthday messages to a daughter who would never see them. Does Mom know the truth? Of course she knows. We made the decision together to simplify the story. We thought we were protecting Emma from painful truths about her early life. And now? Emma's 25 years old, successful, stable. Don't you think she deserves to know the truth? Dad's shoulders sagged. I've been dreading this conversation for 23 years. Your mother and I always knew that someday Emma might want to know more about her origins. We just hoped. We hoped we could help her find a way to learn the truth without destroying her sense of family. That evening, I called Emma. She was living in Portland, working as a graphic designer, engaged to a wonderful man named Jake, who treated her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Her life was good, stable, full of love and possibility. Hey, big brother, she said when she answered. Please tell me you remembered my birthday is next week. Of course I remembered. Emma, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come home this weekend? Is everything okay? Are Mom and Dad all right? Everyone's healthy. But I found something. Something about your adoption that I think you should know. The pause that followed lasted forever. What kind of something? The kind that's better discussed in person. Can you drive down? She arrived Friday evening, and I could see the anxiety in her posture the moment she walked through the door. Emma had always been more sensitive to family tension than she let on. We sat in the living room, where we'd played countless board games as children, where she'd cried after her first heartbreak, where we'd celebrated her college graduation. The same room where our parents had first told her she was adopted, in terms gentle enough for a 5-year-old to understand. I showed her the birth certificate and watched her world tilt sideways. Rodriguez, she said slowly. My birth name was Emma Rodriguez. Your birth parents weren't teenagers, Em. They were adults who lost custody because they couldn't provide a safe home. And your birth mother? She's been looking for you. Emma studied the document with the same intensity she brought to her design work, reading every detail multiple times. Protective services, she read aloud. I was removed from the home. Dad says they were struggling with addiction and mental health issues. The state tried to help them, but they couldn't take care of me. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Em, where are they now? I pulled up Maria's Facebook profile on my laptop. Emma looked at photos of a woman who shared her dark eyes and delicate bone structure, pictures of a half sister she'd never known existed, posts about a lost daughter who would be 25 today. She's been writing to me, Emma said wonderingly. All these years, she's been writing birthday messages to a daughter she couldn't find. Your birth father died 3 years ago. Overdose. But Maria is remarried, clean, has been sober for over a decade. She has another daughter, your half sister Sophia. She's 15. Emma was quiet for a long time, scrolling through years of Maria's posts, birthday wishes, Christmas memories, photos of a life rebuilt from the ruins of addiction. She never forgot me, she finally said. No, she never forgot you. And mom and dad knew this whole time? They were trying to protect you from a painful past. But Emma, you need to know, they didn't steal you or buy you illegally. Your adoption was completely legal. The court terminated your birth parents' rights after they couldn't provide a safe home. But they lied about the circumstances. They simplified a complex situation to protect a child from trauma. Emma closed the laptop and looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. I need to think about this, she said. I need to decide what I want to do. The next morning, she asked to speak with mom and dad. The conversation was painful but necessary, full of tears and explanations and the kind of honesty that families should share but often avoid. Mom broke down when she saw the birth certificate. We never meant to hurt anyone, she sobbed. We just wanted to give you a loving home, and we were afraid that knowing the truth would make you feel unwanted or damaged. I could never feel unwanted, Emma said firmly. You and Dad made sure of that. But I also deserved to know the truth about where I came from. Dad explained the legal process, the multiple chances Maria and Carlos had been given, the social worker's assessment that Emma needed permanent placement with a family who could provide stability. Your birth mother loved you, he said. But love isn't always enough. Sometimes children need to be protected from people who love them but can't care for them properly. Over the following weeks, Emma wrestled with what to do with this information. She researched Maria Rodriguez extensively, learned about her recovery journey, her remarriage, her successful career as a medical office manager. She looked at photos of Sophia, a 15-year-old who bore a striking resemblance to Emma at that age. I keep thinking about all the birthday messages, Emma told me during one of our long phone conversations. This woman has been in pain for 25 years, wondering if I'm alive, if I'm safe, if I hate her for what happened. What do you want to do? I want to meet her, but I'm terrified. Of what? Of disappointing her, of not being the daughter she's been imagining all these years, of opening old wounds that might be better left alone. I understood her fear. The fantasy daughter Maria had been missing might be very different from the real Emma, successful, happy, but also shaped by experiences Maria hadn't shared. There's also Sophia to consider, Emma continued. She's 15 and probably doesn't even know I exist. How do you tell a teenager that she has a sister who was taken away before she was born? The decision came after Emma found a video Maria had posted the previous year on the anniversary of losing custody. She was standing in what appeared to be a cemetery, talking to a grave marker. I'm here visiting Carlos, Maria said to the camera, tears streaming down her face. Every year on this day, I come here and tell him about the daughter we lost. Emma would be 24 now. I wonder if she knows how to change a tire, if she likes to read, if she's found someone who loves her the way she deserves to be loved. She paused, wiping her eyes. I hope whoever adopted her tells her that her first mama loved her so much, but wasn't strong enough to keep her safe. I hope she knows that losing her was the worst thing that ever happened to us, but also the thing that finally made us get help. She saved our lives by being taken from us, and I pray every day that she's happy, wherever she is. Emma called me after watching the video, crying so hard she could barely speak. She doesn't hate me, she sobbed. She doesn't blame me for being taken away. She's grateful that I was saved, even though it broke her heart. 2 weeks later, Emma sent Maria a message through Facebook. Hello, my name is Emma Morrison, but I think I used to be Emma Rodriguez. I was born on July 15, 1999, in Hartford, Connecticut. I believe you are my birth mother. I would very much like to talk to you. Maria's response came within an hour. Mia, I have been waiting 25 years for this message. Can I call you? Can I hear your voice? I have so much to tell you. The first phone call lasted 4 hours. Emma learned about her birth father's struggle with mental illness, about Maria's journey through addiction and recovery, about the guilt and grief that had driven Maria to rebuild her life from the ground up. I want you to know, Maria said, that giving you up was never a choice. I would have died before I willingly let you go. But I was sick, Mia, and Carlos was sick, and we couldn't take care of ourselves, let alone a baby who needed so much. I understand, Emma said. I had a good life. I had parents who loved me, who gave me opportunities, who helped me become the person I am today. Tell me about them, Maria said. Tell me about the people who raised my daughter. Emma spent another hour describing mom and dad, their values, their dedication to family, the way they'd supported her through college and celebrated her successes. She could hear Maria crying on the other end of the line. They sound like good people, Maria said. I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful that you had the life I couldn't give you. The first meeting was arranged for Neutral Ground, a coffee shop in Springfield, halfway between Portland and Hartford. Emma drove down with Jake for moral support, while Maria came with her husband Roberto and 15-year-old Sophia. I met them there too, wanting to support my sister through what was potentially the most significant moment of her life. Watching Emma and Maria see each other for the first time since Emma was 2 years old was like witnessing a miracle. The family resemblance was undeniable. They had the same gestures, the same way of tilting their heads when they were thinking. But more than that, there was an immediate connection that transcended the 23 years of separation. They sat across from each other, crying and laughing, filling in the gaps of a lifetime apart. Sophia was shy at first, overwhelmed by the sudden appearance of a sister she'd never known existed. But Emma had always been good with kids, and within an hour, they were comparing photos on their phones and discovering they both shared an obsession with true crime podcasts. I always wanted a sister, Sophia admitted. I used to ask mom and dad why I didn't have any siblings. You did have a sibling, Emma said gently. You just couldn't meet me until now. The reunion wasn't a fairy tale. There were awkward moments, complicated emotions, and the reality that 25 years of separation couldn't be erased with a single meeting. Emma struggled with conflicting loyalties between the family that raised her and the family she'd been born into. But there was also healing. Maria finally had answers about the daughter she'd lost. Emma finally understood her origins without losing her sense of family. Sophia gained a sister who could bridge the gap between her parents' past mistakes and their current success. Most importantly, everyone involved recognized that love isn't diminished by being shared. Emma loving Maria didn't mean she loved mom any less. Maria being grateful to my parents didn't erase her joy at finding her daughter. 6 months later, both families celebrated Emma's 26th birthday together. It was crowded and chaotic and wonderful. Two sets of parents, multiple siblings, extended family members who'd all played roles in Emma's story. During the celebration, I watched Emma move seamlessly between conversations with mom about wedding planning and discussions with Maria about family medical history. She'd found a way to integrate both families into her identity without losing herself in the process. It's weird, she told me later. I spent my whole life thinking I had to choose between being adopted or being biological, between the family that raised me and the family I was born into. But I'm both. I'm Emma Morrison and Emma Rodriguez. I'm your sister and Sophia's sister. I'm mom and dad's daughter and Maria's daughter. Does it feel like too much sometimes? Sometimes. But mostly it feels like I'm finally complete, like I've been missing pieces of myself that I didn't even know were gone. The birth certificate that had seemed so threatening when I first found it had actually been a gift. It had given Emma the opportunity to understand her full story, to meet family members who'd been grieving her loss for decades, and to realize that identity isn't about choosing between competing truths. It's about integrating all the pieces of yourself into something whole. Emma's wedding the following year was a beautiful testament to the complexity of modern family. Maria and mom worked together on the guest list. Dad and Roberto bonded over their shared love of classic cars. Sophia served as a bridesmaid alongside Emma's college friends. During her speech at the reception, Emma thanked both sets of parents for their roles in her life. To Mom and Dad Morrison, she said, "Thank you for giving me a home, an education, unconditional love, and the confidence to face whatever life brought my way. You taught me that family is about choice and commitment and showing up for each other every day." To Maria and Roberto, she continued, "Thank you for never giving up hope that someday we'd find each other again. Thank you for getting healthy, for building a life that Sophia and I could be proud to be part of. You taught me that love persists even through separation and loss. I'm lucky to have two families who love me, and I'm grateful that I never have to choose between them." As I watched my sister dance with both her fathers, Dad, who'd taught her to drive and helped her with math homework, and Roberto, who'd embraced her as completely as if she'd been his daughter from birth, I realized something important about family. It's not about blood or law or even shared history. It's about recognizing the people who shape us, claim us, and commit to loving us despite our complications. Emma had been formed by the Morrisons and claimed by the Rodriguezes, and both connections were equally real, equally valuable. The birth certificate I'd found in Mom's recipe box had seemed like evidence of deception, but it turned out to be proof of something else entirely: that families can be larger and more complicated than we imagine, and that there's always room for more love, more connection, more people who consider us worth celebrating. Emma Rodriguez Morrison is still my sister. She always was, and she always will be. The only thing that changed was our understanding of how many people can call themselves family when love is the foundation rather than genetics or paperwork. And that, I've learned, is the most beautiful kind of family secret. Not one that divides us, but one that multiplies the number of people who have a reason to love us.